everyone, welcome back to Survivors with Rhythm. I know it has been a long time since I have made a video, but I've decided today to talk to you about communication and one of the aspects of communication that I feel needs some work in society. Not just everyone, or not just survivors, but anyone can benefit from knowing this information or looking within themselves to find it. So, one of the things that I've been learning on my journey is how my own personal love languages have come into play and how I interact with people and the type of people that I choose to be receptive of in my life. So, me personally, two of my love languages are physical touch and gift giving. So, how this plays a role in my life and created certain situations and how I behave where, for example, ever since I was a kid, for as long as I can remember, I have absolutely hated to be touched. Even my relatives knew not to hug me. I'm just not a touchy-feely kind of person. And this is largely because I have always believed that you should only be touching people if it's out of love or out of affection, if it means something to you. And a lot of people in my life, I felt, only would hug me out of obligation or something along those lines. And for me, I've only allowed people to hug me, or if they wanted to be there as an emotional support, or if it was in a romantic situation, even friends, for example, if I felt like they were doing it because they knew I needed some sort of emotional support or they knew I needed a hug, not out of necessary, out of, oh, I'm leaving, I'm going to give you a hug. No. These are things that I was just never okay with. Yeah, there were certain instances where it was like, say I was at a job interview and I had to shake someone's hand, of course, I would do that without hesitation. And certain situations like that. But if it was something where it required some sort of embrace or some sort of connotation that would normally require some sort of love or affection, it was something that I haven't allowed much in my life. And then when I suffered the traumas of child abuse and sexual assault, obviously this made this worse and kind of skewed even my own perception, let alone other people's perceptions of my dislike for being touched. But it is something that I've been working on, and because I've been doing this work, I'm able to see why I don't like it and why going forward, when I create relationships with people, this is a boundary that I put in place and I expect people to respect. Another love language of mine is gift giving. So for me, I have always despised this aspect of the holidays and of birthdays ever since I was a kid. And I had always thought inside, I'm like, why are people doing this? Why are people doing this just because other people are doing this? Like, this person doesn't treat me well. They don't respect me, but for some reason on the holidays, they're going to give me gifts, and usually something that doesn't have much thought into it. And I just thought it was so weird, even as a kid. And ever since I was able, I never celebrated my birthday. It's not something I've celebrated ever since I was a teenager. I've just never cared about it. I do have a twin sister, so that is an aspect of it's not really that special. But for me, it's because I feel like you should only be giving gifts to people if they mean something to you. If giving that gift means something to you, if it's something special, if it's out of affection, if it's because you love them and you want to give them a gift because you see their value and you think they deserve it, or because they're having a bad day and you want to put a smile on their face, something like innocent, something affection. I have always despised the holidays because a lot of people are giving gifts out of obligation, out of commercialized ideas. Like Christmas, for example, is very focused, commercialized on giving gifts, and that's something that I've never approved of, and largely why I don't celebrate the holidays. But I also don't like it out of reciprocity. So there's this big thing where people are giving people Christmas gifts or birthday gifts because they expect something in return. And that's something that I've also never approved of, is just expecting something from someone, because giving a gift should be done out of affection. It should be because you care. It should be because they're special to you. It should be because you value them, and not just because they expect it of you or because society says that this is something we do every December 25th. And these are very important to me, and why I understand that they are my love languages, because it bothers me when they are used in aspects that aren't out of love or affection. And this is something that is important for you to understand about yourself, is how you communicate love to other people. Is it acts of service? Like, they've had a really long day and they come home and you do the dishes for them because they're tired. Or you help them with their homework because they're your kid and you love them and you know that they need help. Or your friend is just suffering a breakup and you go to them in order to listen to them and to give them a listening ear, to give them a hug, to be there in service of other people, is also another love language. It's not personally one of mine. It was something I do for everybody, whether I love them or not, because I sincerely mean it. But I know that this is a love language of some people. So, for example, this is just something that I want you to think about as a person who communicates and is living as part of this world, to understand that there's more than one way to communicate with somebody. And we've all heard of body language. We've all heard of the fact that there's many different languages out there. There's more than one way to communicate with people, and more than one way that people assess whether or not they want you in their life when they're discerning that and asking themselves that question. So it's important that you really understand this about yourself. What are your ways of communicating love? That way, if you do want a relationship with somebody, you can communicate that and tell them, that you want love in this form, or that you understand that love for them is this form. Or when you feel like, for example, say, since gift giving, for example, is one of mine, that you let them know that you, for example, don't want gifts for the holidays because you don't approve of the commercialized view of it. Or you accept their gifts because you think of it as being a symbol of love or of your value. But you also need to be open to understanding that their love languages may be different than yours. And you have to be open and receptive of the fact that they may be showing you their love in a different way. Like, say I wanted to be in a relationship with somebody whose love language was acts of service. I'd need to understand that that is how they communicate love, and not necessarily expect them to, I don't know, give you a hug or place their hand on your cheek whenever they want you to smile or something along those lines. It's something that I've had to learn. And this is not just romantic love, obviously. This is platonic love, love for your friends, love for your family members. It's important to understand what your love language is and understand other people's. And there's also the important aspect that you need to be able to communicate this. You need to be able and willing to communicate this with other people, to ask them what their love languages are when you start relationships, and to understand, so you understand each other and there's no misunderstandings or feelings like you aren't loved in a situation, or you aren't respected, or you aren't valued. So this is something that I've had to learn, and something I've been working on lately, is just understanding that about myself, because a lot of my journey has been learning to value myself, because I've been raised in situations and dealing with a lot of abandonment that I felt I didn't have value, or that it came off that way, that I didn't value myself. And I had been into people pleasing and always doing everything for other people and not taking care of my own needs. So understanding my own love languages really has helped me to focus on what I need in a relationship. Relationships that are romantic, platonic, friendship, family members. We all have needs and we all have standards and expectations in relationships, and it's important to understand what yours are that you give out and what you're able to give, but also what you're willing to receive in a relationship. And this is why love languages are so important. So again, something that I'm really asking you to do is take some time to yourself in solitude and really think about what makes you feel good, what makes you value yourself, and what you value about yourself. For example, like, I have always loved my kindness and my heart more than anything. And no matter what I experienced, I never gave up my kindness, and I never gave up caring for others and helping others. And as an advocate for 10 plus years of survivors for child abuse and sexual and domestic violence, I've always been helping people regardless of how many times I suffered those traumas or what I was personally going through. Yes, to the extent where it was a detriment to myself, but I've learned and gotten past that. But it now allows me to understand that I can also use that love language to communicate with myself. So if I am having a really long day and I'm worn out, or I'm feeling drained, or I'm suffering heartbreak from a romantic situation that didn't work out, or I'm dealing with bullying in some way, or a toxic workplace, it's important that I know that I can give myself a hug, and that shows that I love myself. Or I can try tapping or any other circumstance that involves physical touch, and that would be me loving myself. Or I can go to the store and buy myself a Korean face mask, and I know that when I come home and I put it on my face, both the act of putting it on my face with my hands and getting to really touch myself is loving, but also treating myself with just a small gift, like a dollar or two face mask from the store. And that's why I feel knowing my own love languages was the most important these past few years during my healing, is because this healing journey takes a toll. It is very draining, and especially since we still have to survive while doing this healing. We still have to keep a roof over our head. We still have to pay our bills. And it's important to understand that when you're going through this healing journey, it drains a lot of your energy, and you will have times when you're worn out, where you're drained, or where society and living as a part of this over-controlling society, that you are able to step back, that you create this sacred space, this calm place, this sanctuary for yourself that you can retreat back into when you're no longer participating in those things. Like, say you get home from work, that you can come home and you know that you can take a face mask out of the bathroom sink and put it on, or you know that you can take your clothes off and put your comfy pajamas on, and you can watch your favorite documentary or your favorite TV show, or you can give yourself a hug, or you can give yourself a mini facial, or anything along those lines. It's important to understand these love languages that are your own so you can give them to yourself. Nothing is more important than your relationship and how much you love yourself. You have to have that good relationship with yourself. And this is the main and most important thing about love languages and understanding your own, is that you can provide that for yourself. That way, you're not depending on someone else to be a grounding force or to be that emotional support on bad days or in bad moments. It's because you can provide that for yourself. So all of the examples I use are things that I do for myself when I'm having a bad moment. And this is for me because I usually don't let bad moments affect my entire day, because I do something that I love for myself when I have the chance. And when I am in a bad moment, I stop, I take a break, I give myself a hug, I give myself a pep talk, I buy myself a cup of tea, I buy myself a face mask, I go get a massage if I need one. There are just so many things that you can really do to make yourself feel better if you understand how you give and receive love. So again, like I said, the most important thing about communication in today's society is to understand your own needs and your own ways of communicating beyond words. So again, this is Brianna with Survivors with Rhythm, and I really hope that having watched this video, you not only see I have very beautiful and loving cats, but that it's really helped you in some way, and it'll get you to think about how you love not only others, but yourself in a way that's authentic and genuine to you. So again, I love you all. This is Brianna with Survivors with Rhythm, and I hope you have a wonderful day.